From going viral with a signature salt sprinkle to being banned from some of the world's most prestigious events, Saltbae's rise and fall is a story of excess, ego, and internet outrage. How did a butcher-turned-celebrity chef go from beloved meme to becoming the most hated person on the internet? Today we're diving into the story of Nusret Gökçe, aka Saltbae, and the controversial path that led to his public backlash. Nusret Gökçe was born in 1983 in Turkey. A life in very humble circumstances awaited this future celebrity chef. His father worked as a miner, and Nusret had to abandon school at the age of 12 to become an apprentice butcher. From a rugged start to a career in the kitchen, Nusret's life revolved around food. In the late 2000s, he traveled the world volunteering in kitchens to hone his skills, moved by ambition. In 2010, he came back to Istanbul and launched his first restaurant, Nusret Steakhouse, which brought much fame in no time. The early reviews raved about the remarkable food, inviting atmosphere, and the prices. Nusret's zeal and passion had indeed been rewarded, for his steakhouse rapidly became the talk of town, and patrons were claiming it as the finest steakhouse in Istanbul. With increased demand came price tags skyrocketing. What started out to be a $70 meal for three transformed into a $70 meal for one, and the increases didn't appear to be stopping anytime soon. The ascendancy of bling. Saltbae's vision was what pushed him out of his comfort zones into Dubai, where he built a restaurant meant to indulge the rich, full of grandeur and luxury. Before long, the brand had become synonymous with splendor, with people waiting and ready to pay $400 to spend on steaks, only to leave with bills sometimes as high as tens of thousands of dollars. This has moved beyond the taste buds but celebrates wealth and status. By 2017, Nusret's dramatic flair and his performing sprinkling technique catapulted him to internet stardom. The Saltbae meme flooded the web as the indelible video of him dramatically sprinkling salt made him a household name. The internet had it all: the charm, the swag, and the uniqueness. Saltbae undoubtedly made an entrance into the global arena, the birth of the monster. With fame came swift and expansive growth. Saltbae opened restaurants all over the world, which were only served to the elite. Each restaurant was more ostentatious than the last one. He transitioned from great food to viral stunts, gold-coated steaks, and ridiculous checks. Celebrities lined up for a selfie with the chef, who had now turned into a meme icon. And so, his ego matched his growing fame. His public declarations became indulgent, and the mild butcher from Turkey seems to melt away under the guise of a man who is obsessed with his image. Public backlash. It was not long before the cracks started showing themselves. Reports came in with tales of mistreating employees, unfair labor practices, and lawsuits over withheld tips. Customers began complaining over meals that were overpriced, service that was abysmal, and a dining experience that favored show at the expense of substance. The once adorable golden steaks had become the embodiment of unnecessary excess. The culmination of tensions arrived during the 2022 World Cup. In what was meant to be a celebration over Argentina's victory, Saltbae suddenly appeared on the field, taking the World Cup trophy, kissing it, and even photobombing Lionel Messi. The internet quickly responded. The awkwardness of the encounter, the apparent discomfort of the players, and the audacity of a figure who had every right not to be there. The backlash came swift and strong, and the association opened an investigation that culminated in him being banned from major events, which even included the US. Open. The Rise: a closer look. To get an honest view of the rocket ride to fame of Saltbae, it is necessary to consider the very important role that social media has played in forming his celebrity image. By the time the video featuring Saltbae, the dramatic sprinkling of salt by Nusret with a sweep of his wrist, had become viral. Instagram and viral culture were pretty omnipresent in everyday life. The flamboyant sprinkle became so much more than a meme. It became a brand. Sunglasses, slick back hair, and a white shirt became the character of a culinary rock star. Saltbae's popularity was not in sprinkling salt over, but building an experience people will remember. Restaurants morphed into being more than places to eat. They became theaters for people to attend an event. Dramatics played the main feature of his character as Saltbae carved his steak right at the table, posed with patrons, and that small measure of showmanship made each person feel he is part of something special. This strategy worked well, bringing in the rich, the curious, and those who wanted a flavor of internet fame. Inside his restaurants, customers would take videos and photos and tag him on social media, which only fueled the madness. The more outrageous the content, the more attention it received. The edible gold leaf-covered golden tomahawk steak became iconic not for its taste but for the extravagance it represented. Then there is ego. The allure of Saltbae's formative years gradually gave way to what many viewed as arrogance. Nusret began embracing the adoration that surrounded him, and the ego accompanying his rise to global fame began to emerge. In interviews, he positioned himself as a role model for children, a figure to admire because he sprinkled salt in a way no one else could. Such declarations distanced him from the public, turning what once was charmingly awkward into something decidedly uncomfortable. As he grew, complaints began to pile up at an alarming rate. Stories of mistreatment of employees painted Saltbae increasingly poorly. Employees claimed to be overworked and underpaid. Worse still, some accused Nusret of making off with their tips. These claims were even the basis of lawsuits that were eventually settled out of court. It was too late for that, as the damage had been done to his reputation. The star madness. Celebrities were part of the reason Saltbae fell. He could not stop flirting with them, and he made sure that the restaurants were a hub for the most athletes, actors, influencers, and so on. Big faces pictures of Saltbae reigned on social media, to say the least. This worked at first to enhance his profile, however, it soon backfired. It became apparent that Saltbae was more in love with the glow of other people's fame than the quality of his restaurants. He became ubiquitous at high-profile events, always on the lookout for a photographed name to attach to himself, which started becoming annoying. He became somewhat desperate for attention, and this hunger started eroding the carefully crafted persona. The World Cup incident a turning point. The World Cup incident marked a serious shift. To many, it was the moment when lines were permanently crossed. The World Cup is, by most measures, the sport's greatest spectacle. That Saltbae interrupted Argentina as it celebrated with an impudent overstepping was regarded as an overstep on many fronts. He was no player, nor coach, nor official, but celebrity chef, able somehow to slither across the line and snatch headlines. When the videos of Saltbae's desperate attempt to win Lionel Messi finally surfaced to watch a plainly uninterested Messi, it was all over the internet. It was especially embarrassing and cringe-worthy, and had the world declare that Saltbae had lost touch with reality. For it is the trophy of champions, and few officials to hold Saltbae's act, therefore is not just impolite but against the rulebook. The investigation was concluded by FIFA on how he ended up on the pitch with years of conduct that were increasingly frustrating for those in his proximity. These followed with a ban from major sporting events including the US Open and other global tournaments. Saltbae, once an iconic figure, became one people considered persona non grata. Restaurants a drop in the bar. The more time Saltbae was spending drowning his existence in the name of fame, the worse quality his restaurants were going to have. Once being praised for priceless cuts and styles, it started to turn into a trite thing. Opinions started to alter on Yelp and TripAdvisor. Customers complained about the overpricing, poor service, and an experience which resembled a tourist trap instead of a fine restaurant. The golden steaks, once novel, came to symbolize all that was wrong with Saltbae's empire, showy and fundamentally lacking in substance. Patrons who came in with hopes of having an unforgettable meal left unsatisfied, realizing they had spent hundreds if not thousands of dollars on mediocre food packaged in a flashy wrapper. This was followed by opening new locations, such as Saltbae Burger in New York, only feeding into the criticism. The food was described as either overpriced or underwhelming in reviews. What was once carefully tended had morphed into a mass-produced chain, seemingly more concerned with the number of locations than the quality of the experience. The impact of social media. Social media had been the most precious commodity for Saltbae, but it also became his best liability. In the Instagram era, people are quick to make someone a star, but swifter still in their ability to bring someone crashing down. Saltbae's reliance on social media for supporting his persona meant that when the tides of public opinion turned against him, there was no way to avoid the backlash. Viral moments that earlier catapulted him to stardom are now used against him. The World Cup incident went viral, and the multiple view counts with commentary were as diverse as ridicule was opposed to condemnation. Memes that once celebrated the flamboyant salt sprinkle now ridicule the hyperbolic behavior. It is this internet that catapulted Saltbae into stardom status, thus currently leading in attempts to bring him down. Conclusion: the fall of Saltbae. What began as a delightfully viral sensation turned to be the tale of someone full of ego, excess, and an entirely public unraveling. Saltbae becomes a cautionary tale over how quickly the internet will turn against those who have, in fact, grown isolated from reality. From having started at butcher shops to eventually being exiled from all the great stages of this world, Saltbae's rise and fall make one realize that fame, much less of that acquired through the use of the internet, is as fleeting as it is potent. In the end, Saltbae was a victim of his own victory. The very qualities that catapulted him to fame, his flamboyance, his theatrics, and his desperation for attention, became the very reasons for his downfall. That's all for today. What do you think? Comment below. I want to know your opinion about this matter. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. And also don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more of these kinds of videos. Thanks for watching.